Good morning. So, if you are planning to run a hackathon or run your small IoT project, there's one thing that always comes as a problem. This, let's say this is one of the devices that I want to use. This is an Estimote. This basically is a BLE beacon, and what it does is it just really sends out signals with some information on them to communicate with other devices. So it's the perfect example. Um, Unfortunately, when we run hackathons or we need to run our proof of concepts, we don't always have the hardware. So let's deal without the hardware. So what are we going to do? Well, what we can do is instead simulate them. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to simulate the hardware so that you can see how we can still create our application, still try to convince people that what we're doing is the right thing, based on nothing but um, assumptions, but also knowing what the sensor actually does. So if you go online, you can find exactly what data will come out of the estimate. And that is true for all of the components that you're going to buy or use during your project. So it is very normal that you can go and simulate. So know your hardware so that you can replicate it in real life without actually having the hardware. So this is what I'm planning to do, I guess. So this is realistically the project that I'm looking at. So let's see. Um, this is basically is 5 sensors. I have 5 sensors that are going to create data. Here I have my server, which is basically just collecting the data. So putting it into places, saving it into a database because who knows, we'll probably need it for later anyway. And it's first practice to do regardless. And this is really one complete part. You don't really need anything else. Now, because we want to see things happening, we're going to display them onto a web page, which is why I created an endpoint for the data to be acquired by web browsers or of any sort. Now, this implementation is 100% independent of what you're creating up here. So this could be my um, estimates I use, for example, for tracking people, for tracking devices, specially. So this could be my special tracking service. And whoever wants to use it, or at least use the data, they can go and create whatever website they want. So let's start. So first of all, um, just to make things nice and tidy and simplify things, I'm going to create a very simple web page just to show that things do work, in fact. To do that, I'm not going to use any PHP or nothing of the sort. I'm just going to create my own web server and try to do things proper because at some stage I probably do want to have this up and running somewhere, and I do feel like this is something that can grow. So let's do that. How would I do that? One of the main technologies to use is definitely Node. Node is a JavaScript based language, so to say, and it's very simple. It has a great thing that this way you can write front end and back end in the same language. It's very high performant. It's very easy to learn. There is so much information about it. Um, it's definitely my choice if I have to go and do anything um, quick, but also production level, anything really. Node is extremely versatile. To create my web server, I'm just going to use Express. So you can just look up Express.js and how to do it. I'm just going to be super quick about this. Let's see what is the, if you look around, it's going to be a get started somewhere, installing. There you go. There you go. I just need this line to basically install my package. So I'm going to run it in my project. So I'm done with Express. I created an app file, which is going to be my server. And then I'm going to have a public folder where I'm actually going to have my web page. So super quick, I'm going to get some code that I've already written, but this is really super basic code. Just gonna get rid of anything that I don't need from this. I'm trying to be quick here. So let's see, do I need any of this at the moment? No, I'm gonna really, this one can go away. This is just a simple function that I wrote. Nah, you know what, I'll get rid of that as well. No use for it. I'm gonna keep the bare minimum. Yes, I wanted to work on port 3000, and I'm just gonna use the normal console.log here instead of my function. Okay, let's say I think I have everything to get the party started. Oh, I don't have a web page. Let's do that. New file, index.html, boom. I need to go and grab some data later, so I'm just gonna add that in as well. So this is my env.js. This is basically the logic for the page. Just because I need to do something quick doesn't mean that I have to do things which are dirty. So index, primary school, HTML here really, add, title, my Bones Collective. I'm into Star Trek lately, so might as well. Body. Do not trust people that don't make mistakes on their code. Okay, so what else do I need? I want to use a simple, I still want to make this look reasonably pretty. So I'm going to use Materialize to do that. Materialize is a front-end graphic library, I guess, UI library for HTML. So very simple. You can use it and then you can go and find all the components. I'm gonna do quick and dirty. I'm just gonna use the online version. So that's the style sheet, and this is the actual JavaScript for it. And then I actually need jQuery to run this. It's actually a requirement. So let's go and get jQuery as well. I'll go for the minified version. Sure. Grab that. Boom. Goes on top because it is a requirement for the rest. I think I have almost everything. I need the environment file that I just created, source, and I called it env.js. I feel like I have everything. I just want to start binding stuff. Env, I just want to say console.log env red, and then I'm going to say document jQuery document ready. I have a function here. So this function is basically to say it is ready, do stuff. If you don't do this and you stop binding things before that, everything will just explode. So console.log my document DOM is ready. There you go. Let's just do that. Makes it nice and easy. So that's working, and the index. Let's get something from Materialize, I guess. Let's get the navbar and those kind of things. So I want something super simple, left align. Yeah, I don't want anything fancy. And that goes into my HTML page. Let's go, body. What do we call this? This is my Bonds Collective. There's some stuff here. I'm gonna keep it for now just to give an example of what's actually happening. Okay, so that's working. Let's start this. I started with Nodemon, which is a good way to not having to deal with the actual restarting every time you change the code. Well, let's see if it does work indeed. is waiting for a restart. Did I miss something? Anytime, starting node app clean exit. Why is it app.listen on port? Might be that port is taken. Let's give it another go. Okay, yeah, I guess the port was taken. I have like 1,000,000 applications running at the moment, and probably about 20 Docker containers hanging around. And it's still not working. Do you have any reason for not working? Is that taken by anything? I'm sure there is no one on 7,000. Okay, so it means that somebody was on my 6,000 port. Like I said, I have like a gazillion applications running at the moment, so it's understandable. So that's what we have. What do we need? I think we need something that look like buttons or something to keep track of things. So going back to our previous example, what we want to collect data from sensors. So we need to replicate these sensors somehow. So let's go and do that. So to do that, I use something called Node-RED. And I'll have to make this larger, otherwise it would be impossible for anyone to follow. So Node-RED is a flow-based, so is a UI flow-based programming language kind of thing. I guess we can call it like that. It's very simple. It's basically work everything with nodes. So everything is a node. So let's see. That's my dog just coming in to say hi. So what do we need to do? We need to create the sensors because we don't have the physical sensors. So we have to create them from scratch. So I'm just gonna get rid of all these things and just start from scratch. So here we have a list of all existing items, nodes that we can use. Close the door. That's what happens when you have pets and he's still here. All right, so I'm gonna use the inject. You can use the inject as a button, so to say, but can do a number of things. I'll just quickly show you what you can do. So that's a timestamp, that's a button. I can chuck a debug here. I'm gonna connect them to two. I'm gonna clean the debug log. I'm gonna deploy it. If you wanna get Node-RED, it's simple. You can just install it on your system, or you can do like me. I'm running it on cloud, on IBM Cloud. It is a made-up service. I have it running somewhere. Yeah, I have another video where I show what is happening. Somebody's calling something. I think this is the guy calling. Just gonna disconnect it for now. So what happens is this is where you see where everything happens. So here we have a button for a timestamp. So if I click it, magic will happen. Boom, you get this here. This is a funny error that I haven't realized. I still haven't found why it's happening. Is nothing wrong with my system, and my dog wants to go out because he has to fight the cat apparently. So every time I click it, it basically generates a timestamp, pass it onto the debugger, which just shows it here. Now, so if you look at that, that error, don't worry about that error. You probably will not get it. If I use another version, it will probably not come up. It's just something funny that is happening today. I'm still trying to figure it out, but everything seems to be working fine anyway, so I'm just gonna leave it there for now. Let's just make this a little bit more complex. So what we can also do is we can go here and tell him to repeat at interval. We say every 5 seconds. Let's make it 3 seconds, otherwise I have to wait a long time. Done. Let's deploy that. And if everything happens, there you go. So data magically starts flowing through, and this is just a timestamp. So we need to do something a little bit more complex. We're probably looking at creating, we just create a sensor. We just create a magic sensor. We don't know what it's gonna do. We just randomly create data. That's what sensors do. Sensors just magically create data out of magical areas. So to do that, what we need is a function, and we use this function to actually generate that. Now, I have the code written already, and I will explain the code. So this is a code that I'm going to be using. So this, first of all, I am creating a random number between 0 and 10. So you can go and look at JavaScript to generate random numbers between ranges, and you will find this. So this basically, this function generates a random number, which is in our case our sensor data. And then the sensor data is basically a package, a nice little envelope, which contains the room name and the data. So the data is the sensor output that was generated here. This room comes from the message.payload, which is in fact coming from the button. So this way I only need to really go and say configure the button. Now what I'm doing here is, because I don't want to generate 4 things at the same time. Let's say I have 4 sensors. I don't want to generate 4 sensors at the same time. I want them to be completely independent. So I want to create 4 of these. I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. So this here is an environment variable for the entire flow. This canvas that you see is called a flow. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say create the data, make this nice little package, and put it inside a temporary variable called sensor1. And then just really don't really need to return the message. But this return message basically means pass this message onwards, but realistically we don't need it because it's going somewhere that we don't care, because all we're here for is this. This is all we're here for. So let's have a look. So what I'm here, I changed my button. So my button is doing, it doesn't have the time anymore because I don't really care about the time right now. So as the payload, I say just use a string, and that string is always going to be room1. So that's what I am passing to the next block. I'm telling it to inject the first one after 0.4 seconds, and then once every 5 seconds. And we can call this room1. Done. So let me get rid of these things now. We don't need them anymore. Okay, so that should be working. And now I want to just go and check. I want you guys to understand what's happening. So let me get this, and I just copy them. I want to create another sensor, another room. So this is, I'm saying that I have 1 estimate in each room. This is going to be room 2, room 2. Let's make it start at 0.6. This way they don't kind of clash with each other. Here, I guess the only thing I need to change is saying this is sensor 2. Done. And so that should work. Now I actually want to see the data. So I'm going to use this as a simple button. Like I said, this can be used just as a button. I'm going to use another function. So far we only set data. Now we actually want to get the data instead. So let's, what do we call them? Flow.get. So we're going to call this sensor1 equal flow.get sensor1. I'm just going to copy and paste that. and this is sensor2 from sensor2. So this is basically saying get the value of the variable stuck. Get the value of the variable. How do I do it? I don't really need to be on the screen, but I feel like it's easier if I'm actually on. Makes it like I'm alive. Okay, so return the message. What else? Yeah, so it's getting the data from the flow, some of those flow variables that we created. Let's create a nice package. We call this sensor data, and we're gonna just manipulate it a bit. We're gonna call it sensor one. We could even just make it an array, really. Okay. We're just gonna call it back room in here, so it's easier. And room 2 is the data from sensor 2. Let's say done. Now let's deploy and let's see what happens. I'm doing everything live. I've tried a few things, but
okay. So I was getting an error. Let me just see. Reference error data is not defined. Oh, okay. Yep, my bad. This is called sensor data. Done. And then this one, sensor data as well, done. Deploy. Now we want to just a debug just to see how things are coming out as. Let's have a look. Return the message. So we left it here. Then we want to just pass, we want to put this sensor data inside the actual payload. So message.payload equal sensor data. So if you have never used this kind of systems before, I recommend that you guys go and use a just go learn a little bit about Node-RED. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's message based, so you all talk through messages. Let's go done, deploy, and if everything goes well, I'm going to clean this up. Okay, so I have my data, which for some reason is coming up as room 1 and room 2 like that. I can live with that. Might need to clean that up. I'm not sure why it's coming out like that. Just have a look. Oh, because it was an object to begin with. Okay, yes, I know why. I know what's happening. So room 1. Yes, this is actually how it's supposed to be. Yes. So it was probably better if I just did an array instead. Okay, we can leave it like this. It's okay. We can live with it. So okay, so now we have the data. That's a good part, at least. Let's see. What do we need to do? And if we keep on doing this, we should be able to see that the data is actually changing. Yeah, so we can see the data is changing over time. So we are simulating data. This is one way of simulating the data. Now, the next thing that we want to do then is to actually make this available to the world. So we need to make it available to our application. So let's get an HTTP function. Stuck. Boom. We connect this here. And let's see. Yes, we want to use a get. URL, we're going to call it API. I like to put API. No, just sensors. There you go. We just slash sensors. We call this get data. Done. And then if you make a request, you always need to make a response. So what we can do is we can do this. So we're asking for the data, and then we're responding with the data. And let's have a look. If we go here, I take my URL, and then I go and say sensors. There you go. So my data is publicly available for anyone to use at the moment. Let's just wait the 5 seconds. So data now is 7. So room 1, the data is 7. There you go. As you can see, the data is changing. So we have real-time data here, which is kind of cool. Now, I'm going to go through this because we should have it anyway. We should always be storing data. So let's get some database. In Node-RED, IBM Node-RED, we can use the CloudEnt as a inbuilt. So I'm just going to put it here. So I'm just going to, CloudEnt is a NoSQL database, so super simple to use. And what am I going to call this? Sensors. We want to do an insert operation, and we're going to call this sensor data because we want to store it after all. So okay, so we're storing this data. Anything else? Only store the message. No, that's fine. I get, yeah, only store the message. Okay, so that's deployed. So now if we go, we should actually be able to see this data. I'm going to skip this for now, but you can find out how to actually get into your database and go and manipulate the data directly from the web interface. So let's have a look. We're now generating data, which is good. This is all fully automatic. So these are reflecting 2 sensors inside my room. Perhaps we can change this. Maybe we can make it a little bit more realistic instead of just a number. Times we will need to modify too many things. But I guess if you go and look for a between range, you can do something like generate the temperature maybe between 0 and 10 degrees or something, and you can do more or less complicated things as you go along. Now let's have a look. Let's go back to the original plan if I find it. What is my simple diagrams? Okay, let's have a look. So this is my diagram. I have my sensors. I have 2 of them. It's getting collected. It's getting into a database. I have my web page. What I'm missing is this part. Well, I actually have this part done as well because we can get the data. We just need to connect them. So let's go and do that. Boom, dun, dun, dun. Let's see. We go back to proper coding now, not this UI scratch kind of thing. Let's have a look. What do we need to do? Let's do something super simple. We want to have a function called var function var get sensor data equal function. I'm using really old style vanilla JS for this so everyone can get a grasp of it. What do we need to do? We need to do a jQuery function to actually get the Ajax data. And I thought I put myself on no, do not disturb, but apparently it doesn't work all that well. Okay, get the sensor data, so I need to do a get. I need to tell the URL, which should be that sensors, so that's the URL, and then I can go and do a function. So this is a callback function. So this is a simple jQuery Ajax, super simple. It's just saying do a get operation on this URL, and this is a callback when you get the data. So we're going to call this data. What can we do with it? We're just gonna say console.log. We're just gonna have a look at the data for now. Okay, so that's all good. Now let's start a function that will do that on every 5 seconds. So this is actually this is a continuous poll, which I really hate. There are much better ways, but we'll keep it simple and do the continuous poll. It's a good way to start, but performance-wise, terrible. It just keeps on killing the computer, the servers. I would do it with just push with a push instead. So we do the other way around. I subscribe to it, and then when something gets published, I get notified. Okay, how would I do this? I guess a normal set interval. I'm gonna do function. And I'm going by memory here. I'm gonna say every 5 seconds. We're gonna call that function get trell. Really trying to let's go on my get sensor data. So this is saying set an interval and every 5 seconds run this function. Let's see what happens if I run it. So we're not going to see anything here. We need to look at the actual log. So I'm going to separate this. Okay, so nothing is happening here, but if you look at it, it's actually happening here. Okay, this is very not the one that I wanted to see. So this function is okay. Oh, maybe, oh, did I save it? I don't think I saved it. Oh, I don't think I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yay, we got them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, great. So let's have a look at them. Okay, I'm just gonna quit it because this is causing issues. There you go. So I shouldn't be getting any more messages about that. Anyway, so our application has data flowing into it. As you can see, the data is changing, so that's good. Yeah, that's awesome actually. Yeah, let's go and do a very simple manipulation of that data then. How can we manipulate? Let's see, what do we want? Let's do something very simple. I'm gonna do an h5 saying make a div, an h5 and saying this is my this is my house temperature checker. So what do I want? I want 2 labels. Maybe we can go on materialize and actually get them. So we want maybe, yeah, 2 text areas actually. I think they work better. So text input. These are even too complex, I think. I just want something super easy. Let's just get a text area instead. I guess let's stick with the text input then. Okay, I guess we can get. I think I had some code for this in my other project. Let me just grab that. Just trying to save time. Yeah, something super simple. There you go. Okay, so let's do this. No, this is a button. I got the wrong one. So I just got really just a row with the this is just an input box really. Realistically, that's all it is. We can put something on top of it, so maybe we make this an H4 instead, just to differentiate them. It doesn't have to be super pretty right now. Room 1, and this is gonna be, I mean, just copy and paste. I'm gonna make room 2. That's a row. We're gonna call this room 2 box. Value. Let's try to keep naming convention. Okay, so I have my house temperature checker. Here I have some boxes that I'm trying to go and fill up. Let's have a look if I can get that to work. So we have now, so let's have a look at what the data looks like so that we can use that. So we get an object, and the object has room 1 and room 2, and then data. So okay, that should be fine. So let's just try with 1. So we're gonna do a jQuery manipulation here, super simple one. So we're gonna say that in room 1 value, I think that's what I called it. My memory is terrible. Room 2 value. Oh, so room 1 value and room 2 value. Okay. So room 1 value dot val is equal to data dot room 1 dot data. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Well, something's happening. And let's do the second one. I'm gonna say room 2 value equal room 2 data. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, we need to refresh this. Super excited. Hey, okay, so yes. So as you can see, we are generating something that looks very close to what your real sensors will give you. So as long as you do your research and you get your documentation for your sensor, then you can run these kind of things. So you don't have to have the sensors. You need to know what the sensors create, and then one day all I have to do is I go back to my I can just go back to my Node-RED, and I simply go and change this with an HTTP part, I guess. And I'm going to tell the sensor to just put the data in here. And this would be exactly the same. So yeah, I created my IoT application, fully running, fully doing stuff. So yeah, go crazy and do whatever you like. Seriously. Okay. Thank you. I hope this helps. I hope this helps people who want to run hackathons nowadays, who want to create the projects, who want to start doing stuff, but they think it's too difficult. So I did this in probably 40 minutes. if I wasn't telling what to do, I probably would have done it in about 10 minutes. So yeah, go for it. Bye bye. Peace.